Welcome to another edition of Teach the Geek interviews. My name is Neil Thompson. I'm the founder of Teach the Geek. It's an online platform for science and engineering professionals. The first offering of the platform is a public speaking course called Teach the Geek to Speak. To learn more about it, you can go to teachthegeek.com. Again, that is teachthegeek.com. Today, my guest is Stephen Liu. He's an engineer, a project manager, a career coach, and a public speaker. He's a lot of things. He's also very active on LinkedIn. He posts career advice videos weekly, and he's also big on helping people build their personal brands so they can be successful in their careers. I'm really interested to learn more about his career or his journey in public speaking and his journey in coaching, in addition to his work as a project manager. Welcome to Teach the Geek interviews, Stephen.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Neil, and that was a great summary there. So yeah, I do wear multiple hats, and it's amazing sometimes how be able to do so many things. But I'm happy to share my journey because I wasn't always this active with public speaking, coaching, and doing what I'm doing.
Wonderful. So from the bit of research I did on you, I saw that you got your undergraduate degree in computer engineering. What was the motivation to get that degree?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Bay Area, more specifically San Jose, so it's in the heart of Silicon Valley. And in high school, you're trying to figure out, what do I want to do in college? So I'm thinking, well, I always want to be an engineer. I didn't know what kind, right? Because I like being hands-on, like building things and testing things and figuring out how things work. And I realized, well, you know what? I'm in the middle of Silicon Valley. This is where all the software jobs are, where all the tech jobs are. So let me go get my degree in computer engineering. So that's what I did, and went to San Jose State. One of the top computer engineering schools in the country here. So that was my decision to pursue computer engineering.
You have a better story than me, Stephen. I used to lie about the reason I became an engineer because I always hear stories like yours. I always was interested in it, and so I just pursued it. I became an engineer because my father said I should.
Well, if you enjoy it, it doesn't matter, right? If you eventually get to enjoy it. So.
Luckily it worked out, but man, that's a terrible reason to become anything, is because your parents said to do so. But if you have an interest, yeah, definitely it's something to pursue. But I also saw that you got a master's degree in engineering management. What was the motivation for that?
Yeah, so during my undergrad, when I was studying computer engineering, after 3.5 years, I said I don't want to do this anymore. We did have a 5-year program, but I was like, you know what? I just want to get out of here. Like, I just want to graduate. I don't want to study computer engineering anymore. And my plan was to always, hey, let me go work for a few years and figure out what I want to do for my master's. And so why engineering management? And I'll share that story now. In the first job I was in at Lockheed, I worked in a test lab. And there was a project manager there who used to be a tester as well, and he became a project manager. I always appreciated and really admired how he was able to manage a project successfully. As a project manager, you're forced with pressures from upper management, with schedules and things like that. But with his background as a tester, he understood the perspective of the tester. Right? No one really likes working overtime. No one really likes working weekends. So he was able to build that relationship with the testers and build a manageable schedule, a reasonable schedule, so to meet the deadline while also, making sure no one had to work a crazy amount of hours. And after he left the team, he got promoted twice in 2 years. So I saw his career growth take off. During that time, he became a mentor of mine. So that was kind of the motivation for me to study project management. And just seeing him grow, and for me more specifically, that was kind of the motivation. But another reason is, I did study engineering, and I was an engineer when I started in my career. But throughout that time, even in school, even at work, I realized I'm not very smart at a technical level. I'm never the smartest person in the room, but I like working with people. I like talking with people. I like building relationships. So by being a project manager, yes, I do still need to understand some of the technical stuff. I don't need to make the deep technical decisions, but I can utilize the whole team to lead a successful project. So that's why I decided to pursue my master's in engineering management, and started that in 2017. Did it part-time at night while working a full-time job, and just finished it a year ago.
Okay, nice. I mean, you did mention that when you were an engineer, you weren't the smartest person in the room. Is that really a prerequisite to be an engineer? Because someone has to be the smartest person. It can't be everybody.
Someone has to. Yeah, that's true. I mean, even when I was in school, there were just so many people in the classroom that were just way smarter than I am, who grasped the concepts way better than I am, and I did enough to pass, right? Did enough to get B's in my classes to graduate, get a decent GPA, and get a job. But I wasn't one of those people that worked on software projects on the side, right? Who built their own whatever. So I never had that technical depth. And the longer I went in my career, and the longer I went without building that depth, it just it becomes more difficult to do that. So I do enjoy what I do now as a project manager. Understand some of the technical stuff, but I don't need to go deep down, understand the depth of it.
Yeah, I understand. So I also did project management for a while, and I was a member of the Project Management Institute San Diego chapter for
Okay.
quite a number of years. So, yeah, so that's where I live. I'm in Southern California, and I remember going to one of their events, and one of the speakers said that when it comes to project management, that's what you need to be an expert in, managing projects. You don't necessarily have to be a subject matter expert in the industry in which you work. So if you're in tech or in biotech or whatever, you don't have to have that background in tech or biotech to be an effective project manager. But there were a number of people in the audience that very much disagreed. Do you think the fact that you have this technical background has helped you in being a project manager where you're at? And if you didn't have it, could you have been as effective?
I agree that you definitely need some technical background. I can go talk to my engineers and understand, hey, what is the technical issue? What are the technical risks we're taking? Kind of understand the test data, things like that. But they're not the ones presenting to my management. They're not the ones presenting to the customer about the project, about the status of the project. So I have to be able to understand what they're saying. And if I get a follow-up question, I'm able to build up on it, right? Without having to memorize word for word or repeat verbatim from what the engineer said. So I think having that some sort of technical knowledge is good. Let's say I switched over to biotech. I don't need a technical degree, or I don't need a biotech degree per se, right? But I have to be able to understand that. And through my journey being a project manager, I've learned to ask the right questions. So be able to anticipate questions that my management or the customer might ask, and when I'm talking to the engineer, and figure out, hey, what's the issue? Just asking more probing questions and be ready for those additional questions that other people are going to ask me.
Nice. For one thing, I understand from being a project manager is you have all this responsibility, but you don't necessarily have the authority of the people who are working on the projects. How has been working as a project manager? How has that been for you, being able to get people to be aligned to do whatever the project is, even though you don't have direct authority over them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And earlier, when I said I like being a project manager because I like building relationships, so I do my best to build relationships with people and talk to people, get to know them on a personal level. I don't want to be the person that every time I walk through your cubicle or I walk through your office, and you're like, oh man, Steven's here. He's going to bug me about something. Right? I don't want to be that person because that just sets a tone immediately, right? And then if you don't want to talk to me, then you just don't want to work with me, right? It just makes it much more challenging. So I make an effort to build relationships with people. Typically on our Fridays, it's a little more quiet, and this is back when we were in the office. I go walk around the office. I talk to everyone that I work with, right? Engineers. I talk to the finance people. I talk to the planning team. I talk to our supply chain team, and just talk to them. Just say, hey, hey, what's going on? Like what's new with you? And just because Friday's a little more lighter anyway. People are more open to talk, and just doing that just builds that relationship. And so now when I go up to them, they don't immediately expect me to, hey, beg them for something or ask them for something. It's just a conversation. Just having a conversation, getting to know people. So. Of course, there are people who are overwhelmed. There are people that have too much on their plate, and then I would have to reach out to their manager and kind of coordinate. Say, hey, I need this then, or I need this now, type of thing, and work with the manager. But just building those relationships over time really helps improve that working dynamic and helps you get things done.
Yeah, it's a fine balance because you're the one that management is looking to get this project done, but you can't get it done unless the people that are actually doing the work do what they're supposed to be doing. And just like you said, there are often times where they have competing interests. They're working on other projects too. So where does your project fall within their priorities? I'm going to their manager to figure that all out. I mean, I don't envy people like you, but we need project managers. So Thank you for doing the job.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I talk to my manager about this all the time, and he said, yeah, if managing projects was easy, we won't have a job. So someone has to do it, and someone has to go figure out. ideally, you want your projects to be super smooth and no issues. But when there's issues, you got to be able to not just react to them, but be proactive and anticipate, hey, what's going to happen if this happens, and adjust accordingly or plan ahead. So it's definitely a challenging position, but it's something I enjoy doing.
Nice. So you also do career coaching. How did you get into that?
Yeah, with career coaching, and you touched about it a little earlier. So I've been doing weekly LinkedIn videos, and I've been doing this since 2018. So I've been sharing career tips and advice every single week on LinkedIn through weekly videos, and that's really helped. And that's really helped, kind of shape who I am, help build my confidence, help build my public speaking. But to answer your question, I've given out all this advice, for free, right? And just helping others. And during this quarantine time around March or April, everyone's talking about, oh, you better come out of quarantine better than when you came in, and got to build up your side hustle and find, other sources of income, et cetera, et cetera. So I was thinking, there's no better time for me to start, a career coaching business than right now, right? A lot of people are struggling, trying to find jobs or got laid off. And I have a wealth of knowledge that I've shared over the last, at that point, 2+ years. So that's what helped make the decision to be a career coach, right? Want to be that resource for people that I didn't utilize or I didn't take advantage of when I was in school or when I was younger, right? But since I've been working now for 7 years, I've done a master's, I've done I've grown a lot in my career. I've had a lot of different experiences, so I feel I have a lot to share with others, and I can be that resource for other people.
Nice. So for the people that work with you, what exactly can they? I guess what can they expect? What kind of outcomes can they expect from working with you?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I do right now. I'm doing one-on-one coaching with people. I usually start with an introductory call, figure out what you need help with, and this can range from anything on, I need help with my resume, or I need help with job interviewing. I lack confidence, or I'm trying to figure out what to do in my career. What should I do? And it could also be other things where, hey, I need help on my LinkedIn. How do you start creating content on LinkedIn? I need help building my personal brand. So, with my support, with my help, in the one-on-one situation, working, through these multiple meetings, I can help, what you want to achieve, right? So if you want to improve your resume, you want to improve your LinkedIn, you want to improve your interview skills and help you get a job, then I will do what I can to help you do that, right? If you need help with networking, you need to go figure out how to be more confident with talking to people, that's, I can help with as well. So I know it's very broad with what I'm saying, but that's why we set up that introductory call. And if I'm not an expert in what you're looking for, then it's not going to work out. But if you're just maybe you have a similar background to me, you're an engineer, you're trying to find your first job, I can help you with that.
Nice. So when it comes to the work that you do with your clients, is it an ongoing thing, or is there a finite time that you work with people?
It's more finite. We work that out during that first meeting. Just figure out, hey, what are your goals, and then we forecast. Okay, this is going to take about 2 meetings. This is going to take about 3 meetings, right? And then we just through each conversation we say, hey, do you need another session, or are you good with what you have right now? So it's definitely finite. It's not it's not like, oh, I'll talk to you X number of times for 3 months. We plan those out step by step.
All right, got it. You're an engineer. I'm an engineer. Engineers aren't known for being the most, I guess, effective of public speakers, to put it lightly. When did you realize that public speaking could be of benefit to you?
Yeah, that's if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says shy introvert, becoming a public speaker. And being an engineer, yes, we're stereotypically, dislike public speaking. We're more awkward. We don't like talking to people. And coming, as an Asian, right, growing up, in an Asian household, you're kind of told to be more quiet, be more reserved, right, not speak up. So that brings a lot of challenges when you're in the workplace, right? You can't just assume people know who you are. You have to be able to communicate and share your voice. So just how I became, or how did I realize, being a public speaker was important. For the first 2-3 years of my career, I was quiet. I just went to work, did my job, did talk to my team and build relationships with my teammates, but I didn't do anything else. And it wasn't until about 2.5 years in, I applied to a leadership development program at work. This is where we could do job rotations, we go to conferences, we learn leadership skills. And so I applied, I got an interview, but I didn't make it. So I asked for feedback, And the program manager said, you need more leadership experience. I thought it was kind of ironic because that's why I wanted to go into leadership development program to get more leadership skills. But anyways, so I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get leadership experience? I can't really do it in the team I'm in, right? I'm only 2 years here. My lead has 20, 25 years experience. I can't just come in and just start leading things as a junior level engineer. So I decided, well, let me go join an organization. Let me go build up some leadership skills there. And I joined the Professional Asian American Network, which is an Asian-focused employee resource group we have here at Lockheed Martin. And I started as the mentoring and professional development chair. In this role, I led speed mentoring events. I brought in speakers to talk about professional development for them to talk about their careers. By being in this position, it forced me to have to speak in public. I have to be on stage, introduce the speaker. I have to go facilitate the event. And as I went through that more and more, I got a little more comfortable, in that situation, right? So that's why I tell people, put yourself in that situation to grow, right? How do you get better at public speaking? You just got to do it, right? Of course, you're scared, of course, you're nervous, but you just got to do it and start building that up. Another thing that's helped was the weekly LinkedIn videos we talked about earlier. Week after week, recording myself, editing my videos, I noticed what my tendencies are, and that just continuous practice over time and fixing my tendencies really helped my confidence, right? Because talking to people is one thing, but recording yourself, putting yourself on the internet, putting yourself on LinkedIn or whatever, that's a big step, right? And just being ready to have that confidence to put yourself out there, to be ready to take the comments or take the negativity, which there's very little of on LinkedIn, but just have to be comfortable with that. So those two things really, really help with my public speaking, just that continuous opportunity. I continued to grow within that PAN organization. I became the site co-chair, and now I'm actually transitioning out of my role, but I became the business area chair where I was leading 6 different sites. And throughout my journey here, I became the face of the organization, right? I'm the one sending out weekly emails. People recognize my face. I'm the one leading meetings, talk about strategic initiatives. I was asked to be at a panel at one of our leadership conferences. So just putting yourself out there and just building up those skills over time, putting yourself in those situations really helps build up those skills and make you more confident, make you better at public speaking.
Nice. I find it hilarious that you applied to a leadership program. They told you you were rejected because you didn't have the leadership experience. It's like, why do you think I'm here?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It worked out though, right? Yeah. If I didn't get rejected, I wouldn't have taken on that opportunity within the PAN organization. And without being in that PAN organization, building up that confidence, wouldn't that have given me the confidence to start doing the weekly video? So I really do appreciate getting rejected at that time, and it really has helped my career. It really has changed it for the better.
Yeah, it's funny how life works out sometimes. I'm sure at the time you're kind of bummed out about it, but it certainly worked out in the end. It's funny how you also mentioned how when you're working at a job and you're an engineer, you tend to be more of a reserved or quiet person. You expect how would you actually expect people to learn who you are unless you say it? Because it's not as if you're at the job and you know who everyone else is. They have to say who they are too. Human beings are weird, man. But so you're a public speaker. So you do public speaking. You've gotten a lot better at it over time. And the videos have certainly helped. When it comes to what you like to speak about, what topics do you like to speak about?
Yeah, so I like to speak about the same things I talk about with my coaching. Just talk about anything related to personal and professional development. Like I said, I've gone through a lot in my career, right? I used to be shy. I used to be an introvert. I used to not do anything, at work or in school. And by being part of organizations really has helped my public speaking, has helped my confidence. I can talk about building content on LinkedIn, how to network on LinkedIn, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, and just kind of that career growth, that personal growth. I started picking up a goal-setting mindset back in 2017, and that's really just kind of continued to drive me. I've been able to do so many things, with working full-time, doing grad school at night, doing videos every single week on LinkedIn. So just talking about anything related to professional or personal development, and just what I've been able to do the past, more specifically, I guess 7 to 10 years in my working and my academic career.
When it comes to the presentations that you do, Do you have a process for putting them together? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, that's a great question, and partly of um, partly due to my kind of the broadness of what I can talk about. It really depends. So a lot of my speaking opportunities come right now are from people reaching out to me. So I've done a lot where the past few months I've done presentations to a diversity conference where I talk about the bamboo ceiling, right? How do Asians, how do we break through the bamboo ceiling? How do we build up those communication skills, that public speaking skills, right? How do you speak up, right? Things we just talked about. In addition, at San Jose State, the Formula SAE team, this is where they actually build a race car from scratch and race it against other schools. They reached out to me, and they're all engineering students. They said, "Hey, like we want to learn more about how you went from an engineer to a project manager." So I was able to put together some slides on that and share my journey about why I wanted to become a project manager, which I shared earlier, and kind of my lessons learned. What are the key skills that you need as a project manager that you really don't have as an engineer, and how can you develop those skills? And just more recently, just being on different podcasts, different interviews like this, just sharing my story. I did one about how I went from an introvert to a public speaker. Here your focus is on engineering and people with a science or STEM background, how they got into public speaking, how they got into the position they're in. So it's just kind of, I have a lot of material based on what I've said in the past with my LinkedIn videos, and just putting stuff together, creating some slides and or doing what the audience wants.
Got it. Yeah, it's whenever I think about engineers or scientists or people in the STEM fields, at least for myself, when I worked in medical devices, we had to follow a process to develop medical devices, FDA mandated, and if you didn't, you got audited, then they could pull the device off the shelf, and you're losing a whole lot of money. So
exactly.
The idea of using a process to even develop your presentations is something that I did, but never really thought about. And it was almost kind of repeatable too. So I start off with this part. Let me start with the end in mind. What I hope people get out of the presentation, and then kind of work backwards from that. What do I need to include in the presentation to get the desired outcome that I hope that the audience gets?
Exactly, right. And you summarized it well, right? Start with that takeaway. What do you want people to take away from it? And as a project manager, I kind of have that planning type of mindset, type of thinking style. So create an outline and just start building up some slides or start building up my presentation, and allowing time for people to ask questions. I think that's the best way for people to learn, right? Just ask questions, right? Maybe they have a personal situation, or maybe they want to clarify something I shared, and just spending more time in that Q&A section and answering those questions.
And when you say ask questions, like it brings back some bad memories. So even the idea of Teach the Geek came from when I worked in engineering, and I had to give presentations every month. And the questions I would get were questions I thought I had answered during the presentation, but because I was so bad at relaying the information to the people in the audience, I was getting these questions. That's when I realized, I gotta do better. I can't be up here every month having to give these presentations and wasting my time, wasting their time, just wasting time in general.
Yeah. Think about your audience and what they want to focus on. And for you, that was a learning experience, right? It's not quite, I wouldn't call it a mistake, right? But hey, you be like, oh, maybe I didn't formulate this thought properly, right? Or I didn't explain this well enough in detail, or maybe I explained it in a way that I understand, but maybe other people don't understand. So just going through that practice, asking for feedback is always a great way to learn.
For sure. When it comes to presentations, do you ever get nervous before then? And if so, how do you deal with your nerves?
Yeah, so I used to be, hate public speaking, but through all the stories I shared earlier, being part of that PAN organization, doing the videos every single week, I think I don't get nervous anymore. It's a weird feeling. And right now all the presentations are virtually, but even like on stage, right, just having that presence, just being in that situation where I have to introduce speakers, where I'm leading events, you just get more and more comfortable with it. So now I don't get nervous at all, right? You can even call this an interview, right? You can call this a presentation. I mean, I just like, all right, 5 minutes before, then we call in and we'll be ready to go here. So, but for people who are facing that nervousness, I would say, hey, start small, right? I did a video about this a couple of weeks ago. Start small, right? So don't make the first time you're giving a presentation to the whole audience. right? Present to about 3 to 5 people, your best friends, right, or your closest people, and ask for that feedback, right? Just like, hey, did I sound nervous, right? Just because by talking to friends, you already know who they are, right? You have a trust in them. It kind of relaxes you a little bit, and you get to go through your presentation. You get to listen to their feedback, and you get to adjust. So start small, and you start building your way up to that overall large presentation. And the second thing, the last thing here is that practice, right? Put yourself in those situations. I didn't become a public speaker. I didn't get comfortable with public speaking overnight, right? It's been a long journey since 2016 when I joined that organization, but just through that continuous practice, and I'm even considering this interview a practice for me, right? This is for me to get better at sharing my story, to communicate what I've gone through. Just look at, just find those opportunities to get better, and always, build up your skills over time.
You've offered some really great tips to become more effective in public speaking, Stephen. I jotted a few of them down. Starting small, I think, is an excellent. You don't want an excellent tip. You don't want to start off, with something so big that it seems so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then also, just doing it. You could read all the books, you could listen to all the podcasts all you want, but you don't get better at public speaking or anything for that matter without actually going out there and doing it. And your idea of videoing yourself is one that I highly recommend, because then you can look back at the video and see all the things that you like, and all the things that you think you can improve on. And because without that, then you just have to rely on memory to remember what I did well and what I could improve on. So having that video is really helpful. Are there any other tips that you care to share on getting better at public speaking?
Yeah, and I would say always ask for feedback, right? Because you might think, hey, I sounded great, I knocked it out of the park, I have a great presence, my voice sounded confident, but someone might just say, hey, your leg was shaking the whole time, and you don't realize it, right? Like just little things like that. So always ask for feedback, right? And you can't assume you're perfect, right? And I even throughout my whole journey, I still say I'm I'm a work in progress. I still need to get better. So always ask for feedback. And I think that recording stuff is recording yourself is a great idea as well. It's weird recording yourself or it's weird watching yourself because you don't do that, right? Like you see everyone else, but you see yourself the least, right? You don't talk to yourself in the mirror. So recording yourself, and it's like, oh, maybe like when I'm doing videos, right? Maybe I talk like this all the time. And I'm you see the bottom of my chin, or so with the camera placement. So you don't notice these things until you record yourself, right? It took some time for me to get used to talking to the camera here, and that's even with my weekly videos. So it's just through practice you realize, oh, I'm not looking at the camera, or I have these different tendencies, and people can provide their feedback as well, and that's how you get better.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Stephen. And yeah, feedback is key to getting better. And at least in this instance, I can't tell if your leg is shaking, so we're good there.
You only see this part. Yeah, I'm up there.
Yeah, for sure. So this has been really interesting talking to you, Stephen. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about things that you're working on?
Yeah. So think about 2021. What are my plans for next year? So looking back, the past 3 years, I've done a 52-week challenge of weekly videos on LinkedIn, and this year's, of course, it's been a challenging year, and I wanted to travel more this year, but of course those plans got canceled. So now, hey, with 2021, I'm back in that goal-setting mindset. So one of my biggest things I'm going to do next year is to do a LinkedIn Live every single week as part of my 52-week challenge. I got approved to do LinkedIn Live back in February, early this year. I didn't take advantage of it, and I really should have, right? And because there's a lot of people out there who are applying for it, and they didn't get approved or struggling to get approved. So I really want to say, hey, thank you, LinkedIn, for giving me this opportunity to live stream. So I'm going to do that every single week on LinkedIn. I'm planning for Fridays at 5 p.m. And of course, those are recorded, and I can post those later as videos. So that's one of the biggest things I'm working on, and just continue with that goal-setting mindset. Next year I want to learn a new language. I'm currently learning Cantonese, so once I'm done with that, I'll see what language I want to learn. And I think I want to do like a monthly fitness challenge. So at least for the month of January, I'm going to try to see if I can hold a plank for 5 minutes, and just do one attempt every single day and see if I improve. Other fitness goals include maybe 100 push-ups a day, or maybe running 100 miles a month, or something like that. And continue to build up that good health. And it's not just about growing professionally or learning new skills, but you got to take care of your body as well.
Wonderful. How can people get in touch with you, Stephen?
Yeah, so I'm solely on LinkedIn. You can connect with me. You can look up the hashtag Stephen Helps You, or you can connect with me here. You can see my name, Stephen Liu, and I connect with everyone, right? So send me that connection request. Say, hey, I came here from the Teach the Geek podcast, and I reply to every single connection request, and try to start a conversation and build relationships with people. So yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, and yeah, if you need help with career advice, with professional or personal development, public speaking, anything we talk about here, feel free to connect and send me a message, and I'm always happy to help.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, that marks the end of another edition of Teach the Geek interviews. My name is Neil Thompson, founder of Teach the Geek. It's an online platform for science and engineering professionals. The first offering is Teach the Geek to Speak. It's a public speaking course, and you can learn more about it at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Neil.